leading a quiet life. For the last 7 to 8 years, my goal has been to play in the NBA. I wanted to be a great basketball player, and I wanted to be seen by others as a great basketball player. So 6, 7 days a week, I would put in effort, I would put in work, I would put a lot of energy and time into it. But recently, I sprained my hip flexor, and I haven't been able to play basketball like I wanted to. I can't run, I can't do a lot of things. Though it doesn't hurt as much as it did a few days ago, I decided, hey, I'm gonna take 2 weeks off of basketball and do other stuff. And well, with this extra time, I've had time to think and have meaningful thoughts. Like people, like thinking is like one of the easiest things we can do and the most beneficial things we can do, but it's something that no one does. No one thinks about their life. No one, and if they do think, it's like thinking about past mistakes, thinking about worrying or selfishness or whatever it is. We don't have good thoughts, and having good thoughts is so helpful. It's one thing I did the last couple of days as I've been injured. And one thing I thought about was why I still want to play basketball. It's going to take so much energy and time out of my day. Why do I still want to invest so much time into this when it looks like, hey, you're not going to play in college, you're not going to play in the NBA? So I thought about it. I was like, basketball is how I get other people's approval. Like, if I play great as a basketball player, I can get other people's approval. I can be pleasing to others. I can be accepted by others. And that was part of where I found my identity, where I found my worth, was being a great basketball player. And I realized that wasn't just with basketball. That was with a lot of areas of my life. Like, I often try to exalt myself. Like, I thought I was a humble person, but when I look at myself, I'm very prideful. Like, I boast a lot. I tell other people about myself. I tell them, hey, I have a YouTube channel, I'm writing a book, I have 2 jobs. I tell them there's different stuff so they can see me as, man, that's a hard worker. That's a diligent person. That's someone who is a go-hard person. And I would often try to exalt myself so I can get other people's approval in what I'm doing. But I realize that's not the right ambition to have. That's not the right motives to have in life. That's not good. I read in 1 Thessalonians 4:11 that you aspire to lead a quiet life, to mind your own business, and to work your hands as we commanded you. To stop trying to exalt yourself. I think about what Jesus said in Matthew 19:30, how the first be last, the last be first. Like, many who are great in the eyes of the world are not as great in the eyes of God, and vice versa. Like, I was listening to Paul Washer earlier, and he talked about how if someone were to ask him, hey, who's the greatest preacher ever? He's like, you don't know. You don't know, because that preacher is being faithful to where God called him in a quiet life. I think about this, like some people who are exalted in the eyes of men, they may be speaking in front of millions of people, and then there's a pastor of a small church, like 20 people, and how in the judgment seat of Christ, when we judge before Jesus Christ for our works to see rewards, that person who's the pastor of 20 people may receive greater rewards than the person who's preaching to millions of people. Even though in the eyes of the world, that person preaching to millions of people has all the fame, the money, the success, that person, even though they seem like they should have so much rewards for that, the person who's faithful in leading their quiet life, they get more rewards. Because it's not about being great in the eyes of men. A lot of stuff that's great in the eyes of men is actually not good in the eyes of God. And that's one thing I need to try to do a better job at, which is stop trying to exalt myself in the eyes of men, and instead just lead a quiet life, do what is pleasing in the eyes of God. And that's something I really want to work at, and which is why, like, not that I'm not going to play basketball anymore, but like I'm not going to play for that reason of trying to get other people's approval. I'm not going to continue to tell people, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm this, to try to get their approval, try to get some type of approval from them, because I know that's what I do often, because my life has been about exalting me rather than just exalting my king. So like I gotta work on that. It's something I want to work at, which is why I need to lead a quiet life. Another thing I want to say is like building better relationships. This is something that I did an awful job at. I'm about to leave for college, God willing, this weekend. It's like that means I spent like about 19 years of my life with my family. As I'm 18 years, 10 months about. So I spent like 19 years with my family, and I'm about to leave them. And I think about the past, how much time and opportunity I had to spend time growing my relationship with them, but I refused to. I would like not talk to them as much. I would not spend time with them because I was focused on other things. I was very selfish, saying like, this is my time. I want to use my time my way, and I want to try to be this great person in the eyes of other people instead of seeking the attention and approval of people that mattered most in my life. And this not only happened for my family, it also happens with my friends, where I would not really be a great friend. Like, in the sense of like I'm not spending a lot of time with them, and because of that, it's just like I don't have as much great relationships with people. Even though I think I'm a great person, it's like I just didn't invest in that as much. That's one thing I wish I did a better job at. Stop trying to be a great person in the eyes of other people, and just invest in the relationships that you have, which is something I want to do a better job at. But another thing about leading a quiet life, is just being faithful in the little things. I think about this. One of the purposes of marriage is to be conformed to the image of Jesus Christ. And though I'm not married yet, I'm not even in college yet, technically, but I had an opportunity to experience that. This morning I woke up, and like 2 minutes after waking up, my sister called me. She's like, "Hey, take your little sister to school. Take her to school." Bro, I just woke up. I don't want to do that whatsoever. I want to do my morning routine. I want to stretch. I want to get dressed, and I want to spend time with God. And I would have to leave like 15 minutes. So like I did not have a lot of time after getting up. So I really did not want to do it. I was like, "No, you can do it. You can even drive my car. Just don't let me do this." But she's like, "No, you gotta do it." So, as grumpy as I was, I still decided to do it. And when walking downstairs, I was like, yo, I was more conformed. This has conformed me more to the image of Jesus Christ. Like, this is how my marriage is going to be. Jesus talked about how, like, you should deny yourself. You need to take up your cross daily. You need to die to yourself. But it's easy to die to yourself in a moment's time. It's easy to jump in front of a bullet, and save someone's life than it is to live 20 years of a faithful, dedicated life to that person. It's easy to say, hey, I'm going to take a bullet for you, or it's easy to be a martyr for Jesus Christ than it is to live 65 years of a dedicated life given out to God. It's easy in a moment's time. So it's easy to die to myself, but it's hard to die to myself over a long period of time. So I know in my marriage, one thing I pray for every day is that I may be blessed with a wife who loves God more than anything else. And I know I don't deserve that, right? But like, that's one thing I pray for. And I think about this, like how that person is God's daughter. Like I think about when I'm a father and I have a daughter, and let's say I give her to date someone, and then that person is disrespectful and they're dishonoring to my daughter. I'll be furious. I'll be furious, and that would not be acceptable in my sight. And if me being evil can think like that, how much greater should God be angry if I distreat one of his daughters? So I think about like being conformed to the image of his son in the little things. I want to be a greater man so that when he does give me one of his daughters, that's his will for my life, that I can treat her the way that she deserves to be treated as one of God's daughters. And I think about the little things in marriage being conformed to the image of Jesus Christ. Like it's easy, like I said, to die to yourself in a moment's time, but it's harder over a long period of time. Like being unselfish, taking my sister to school, or being patient with my wife, or saying, hey, I'm gonna take out the trash today, I'm gonna do the dishes today, and dying to yourself. One thing I believe I'm generous with my money. I'm generous with my, knowledge. I can teach other people as I'm doing with the YouTube channel. I'm generous with stuff like that. But one thing I was not generous with is my time. I did not want to give nobody my time. My time was for me. And it was all about me, my time. And I realized, hey, be more of a servant. The greatest among you shall be your servant. The leader among you shall be the servant. And that's something I sucked at. I sucked at being a servant with my time. I'd rather give you money than give you time, a lot of time, because my time is so valuable to me. And instead of using it to be a servant, leading a quiet life in my life, I wanted to just use my time all myself. So just serving God in the little things and investing your time being a servant to others. That's something I need to do a better job at. And not only like being a servant to others when they ask you, but looking for opportunities to serve is something I want to do a better job at as well. One thing I try to do is, I want to do at least, is look for opportunities to spread the gospel. And I told my friend how, me and him were having a great conversation about God, and I told him, and I was like, yo, I want to have great, deep conversations with people because I believe I can help people, but the hard part is just like trying to get into that conversation without like starting it yourself. That makes sense. Like trying to be like, hey, are you going to heaven? Yes or no? No, just like trying to get into the flow of the conversation and then have an opportunity for that deep conversation to happen. And looking for opportunities in that way. In the same way, I need to look for opportunities to serve other people. And if I look for opportunities, it's more apparent to me, right? Like the things you look for, it's easier to see. Like if you buy a new car and you probably often see that car on the street, you see it more on the street than you did before. Not because it's there more, but because you are looking for it. It's like in your brain to be attentive for that. And that's one thing that I want to do with being a servant as well. But leading a quiet life, this is just a video I wanted to get out because it's something that I really need to work on. Stop exalting myself, have better relationships, to serve God in little things, that in that way being conformed to the image of Jesus Christ, and to be a servant as well. And to live in a quiet life, not to live for myself, for my pleasure, for my grief, for my success, for my enjoyment, but living for God. And knowing that, hey, if God chooses to exalt me, He will exalt me. Like, it's like, I don't have to try to seek that anymore. I don't have to try to seek that in my YouTube channel. I don't have to try to seek that with what I try and tell other people. If God wants to exalt me, He will exalt me. But if I don't humble myself, why would He exalt me? You know, if I don't humble myself, why would he exalt me? I think about this as well. You know, like I said, I want to be blessed with a wife who loves God more than anything else. But I'm like, man, if I'm going to treat her with disrespect, if I'm not going to be a man myself, why would he give me that? Why would he bless me with that if I'm not going to prepare myself? In the same way, man, if you're not going to be a servant, why would he exalt you? You're not going to be humble. Why would he exalt you? For you to get more glory for yourself? For you to use what you have on yourself? You know, so this is just a video I want to get out though. If any way it helped you, you can like and subscribe if you want to. Leave a comment about any comments you have on the video. But the 4 things I want to say is just like, hey, stop trying to exalt yourself. If God wanted you to be exalted, He'll let you be exalted. But don't seek it yourself. Like the Bible condemns selfish ambition, right? Just trying to exalt yourself. He talks about humbling yourselves. You know, this is the one I look to him who is contrite and humble of heart and trembles at my word. I think I need to memorize that verse, but just humbling yourselves inside of God and He'll lift you up. Second thing is make sure to spend more time building great relationships, meaningful relationships. That is very valuable. It's something I want to do more, especially in college. Just talk to more people, network, and have great experiences, and just be able to lead a quiet life in that way. And the third thing is to make sure I'm serving God in little things. Like God can be served and glorified in the big things as He can in the little things. Like He can get glory out of me making YouTube videos that can help other people, but He can also get glory from me studying right, from me not cheating on my homework, from me, you know, saying hi to people, you know, like acknowledging people. That's one thing. Like oftentimes I'm walking around and some people like forcefully look away from me as to not acknowledge me. Like I'm another person created in the image of God. You know, for me, I want to, like, when I see someone just walking in the park or something, I want to say, like, yo, what's up? Acknowledging them, acknowledging the God likeness in them, acknowledging how they're made in the image of God. But a lot of people they just try to look away, you know. So like just try to serve God in the little things. I don't even know why I said that really, but serve God in little things. And the fourth is just to be a servant, to look for opportunities to serve others. And that's 4 things you can do to lead a quiet life. Just 4 things I thought of. Hope this video helped you in any way. Thank you for watching, and thank you.